So your first book, Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less, was published in 1976. So decades later, and several works of fiction, non-fiction, and short stories later, your books are still as popular. So what do you think makes your books click with millions of readers across the world?
I think I'm a storyteller, not a writer.
Right.
I think people like a good story, they like a good tale, they like to be able to turn the page. I think that's the secret, but it's a God-given gift. You can't be taught it.
All right. So, and in the age of internet, e-publishing, and 140-character stories that we see, how do you manage to stay relevant with your stories, with your plots, with your characters?
I think I have a very interesting life. I think I have a full life where I meet interesting people all the time. But I've been lucky in the sense that I don't think I've grown old. I think I'm still young, and it's probably because I mix so much with the young. I like the young. And I'm very flattered in India that I would think the average age of my audience is 18, 19, 20.
Right, true, that's true.
That would not be true in any other country on earth.
Wow, okay. And given your sense of humor, can we look forward to a full-fledged comedy sometime?
You've got 7 Clifton Chronicles, 5 of which have been written, number 5 which is out now.
Right.
I'm working on number 6, there's a number 7 to come. After that I will do a series of short stories. I will do 12 short stories, and then another novel.
Right, so comedy, anyway, but I know there are hints of comedy like here and there, but a full-fledged comedy.
Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less is humorous, and 1 or 2 of the short stories will be humorous. And I hope I bring humour into every one of my works. But if you mean an individual book of comedy, no.
No, okay.
No, you go and do it yourself.
All right, done. So you've been to India quite a few times, right? You've been to
This
India.
is the 11th time.
Your 11th time, wow. So what about our country fascinates you?
It changes over the years.
Okay.
For example, now I'm very aware that you have at last got some decent roads and a bridge. You ought to have 10 bridges, but you've got 1 bridge, you ought to have 10. At last your traffic is moving, even if it's moving in the wrong direction. Even if you still believe that the white line goes down the middle of the car. And I never understood how you can be such an intelligent race and think that white lines were put there to go down the middle of the car. That's got me fooled. I haven't yet mastered it, because if you were stupid, it would really worry me, but you're not stupid. And you still put the white line down the middle of the car. I should be Minister of Transport for this country, then there'd be some changes. I can tell you there'd be some changes. The biggest change has come the power of women. Women were certainly 30 years ago of no importance at all. They were usurped, trodden on, kicked to death. Men ran this country. Despite the fact you had a woman Prime Minister. But now I can see that young women are taking over India. They're bright, they're hard-working, they're well-educated, and they no longer believe their role is simply to be mothers and simply to be usurped. If you'd seen the audience last night, I don't know if you were there last night, I would say 70% were women, and of those 70%, I'd say 50% were under the age of 25. That's remarkable.
You have revealed that in your next book, there will be an Indian character and that 8 chapters will be set in Mumbai.
Yes.
So how comfortable are you, or were you writing about something that you may not be too familiar with?
Well, I'm not comfortable. I've written it. I've done the first draft. I'm going to, I think it's in Pune. Where do I see Lijan?
Bangalore.
In Bangalore I see a friend of mine, and he's bringing with him someone else I've known for years, who's among the cleverest young men I've ever met in this country. He's very, book-wise, very clever. And he is going to read the 8 chapters.
Okay.
And he will point out any mistakes I've made. So I'll have to do a rewrite probably. But the story won't change. The story of the young girl, the very beautiful young Indian girl who Sebastian falls in love with, that won't change.
And that girl is also going to have an arranged marriage.
Yes,
right?
she is in England, visiting England, and they meet at a cricket match, they meet at Lord's. He falls in love with her. She kind of ignores him because she knows she's been, but he persists. And they fall in love. but she is taken back. She's virtually kidnapped, taken back to India. Remember, this is 1970. And he comes to chase after her. He wants to bring her back to England. And it's what happens in Bangalore, what happens in Bombay.
Great. Okay. So you have been vociferous about your adoration for R.K. Narayan.
Great writer, great storyteller.
Right. Are there any other Indian writers that you've
Well,
read?
you've got a bunch of Nobel Prize winners and great people, but they're writers.
Okay.
V.S. Nepal, Salman Rushdie, they're writers. I'm a lover of storytellers. R.K. Narayan is both a writer and a storyteller.
Okay.
That's why I love him. Magali Days is a masterpiece, by any standards.
Any newer writers that you've read? Indian?
I'm sorry?
Any newer writers?
Any new Indian
And in the new Indian writers, if you count Vikram Seth as a new Indian writer, certainly I admire him. But he's an all-rounder, he's a polymath. He can do anything. I'm amazed he doesn't open the batting for India.
Alright. So a lot of our readers have asked for you to share some tips for young and aspiring writers.
The waste of time. You're born with the gift of storytelling. Writing, you don't need tips. You need to work hard. You need to read great works and learn and get a decent education. And don't start until you're 30. Get some life behind you. But no, I can't give you tips. Otherwise you'd be the best-selling author in the world, wouldn't you?
Right. But you
It's
said...
a gift. It's like a ballerina. It's like a violinist. It's like an opera singer. You're not going to be the leading opera singer in the world. Shall I tell you why? Because you can't sing. And it wouldn't matter what tips I gave you, you still couldn't sing. Could you? No!
Right, but you said they could read some great books. Any suggested
Oh, yes.
reading list?
You should read the classics. Learn from them. Certainly, you couldn't hope to be a writer of any calibre unless you'd read all the people who are great writers.
And finally, a cricket question.
A cricket question. Why are you so convinced that England will win the World Cup?
Okay, but we are not. So you obviously are an English team fan. What would your ideal World Cup scenario be?
Well, obviously England would beat India
In the final?
in the final.
And the score would be?
The score would be England 450 for no wicket, India 12 all out.
Alright, great. And your message for the English cricket team right now?
Nah, they're no hope. They're
Okay.
rubbish. You've got to look, they're no good. India have a chance only because, in my view as an outsider, only because they rise to the big occasion. The bigger the occasion, they're a lazy team. The laziest team is the West Indies. You're the second laziest. If you're not playing a match that's important, you walk around the pitch and drop catches and don't care. When you care, my God, you're good. And I think Kohli is as good a batsman as I have ever seen. I think he's very, very special. I like Pachura. I think he's great for test matches, but I'm not sure about the future of test matches in this country. But Kohli is the real thing.
Great. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.